Welcome back, class 10, your civics class. Well, uh, continuing with judiciary, today we will do state judiciary, that is, the high courts. Now, the high court is at the apex, means top of the judiciary in state. Supreme Court is the apex court of the country. High Court is the apex court of the state. At present, there are 24 courts in the country, high courts in the country. 4 among them have jurisdiction over more than one state. There are 24 high courts in the country. 4 high courts among them have their jurisdiction over more than one state. Guwahati High Court enjoys jurisdiction over 4 states, namely Assam, Arunachal Pradesh, Mizoram and Nagaland. So under Guwahati High Court, Assam, Arunachal, Mizoram, Nagaland, these 4 states' jurisdiction are under the Guwahati High Court. Earlier, it had jurisdiction over the states of Manipur, Meghalaya and Tripura also. Separate high courts are there. Separate high courts for these 3 states are established in March 2013. Chandigarh High Court has jurisdiction over Haryana and Punjab. And Bombay High Court has jurisdiction over Maharashtra and Goa. Hyderabad High Court is the common high court between the states of Telangana and Andhra. Among the union territories, only Delhi has a high court. So, I believe once or twice it was asked that name a high court which has jurisdiction over more than one state. I think once or twice it was asked. So, it is good to know. Now, regarding the composition and organization of the high courts in the USA have been organized under the law of states. Consequently, the composition varies from state to state. That is in USA. But in India, we have a single unified judiciary, which means a single integrated same judicial system. So it has resulted in the uniformity in the organization of high courts. The important characteristics of the organization of the high courts are: number 1, composition. Each high court has a chief justice and such other judges as the president may from time to time appoint. The number of the judges of a high court is not fixed. Therefore, their number varies from state to state. So the number of the judges of a high court is not fixed. Their numbers varies from one state to another. Appointment of judges. The Chief Justice of the High Court is appointed by the President of India in consultation with the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court and the Governor of the concerned state. So the Chief Justice of the High Court is appointed by the President of India. The President of India consults with the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court and the Governor of that particular state of which the High Court Chief Justice will be appointed. Okay. Suppose the Chief Justice of Calcutta is going to be appointed. So the President consults with the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court and he will consult with the Governor of West Bengal. Okay. The appointment of all other judges shall also be made in the same manner, except in the case of Chief Justice of the High Court shall be consulted. So while appointing other judges, the President will discuss with the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court. The President will discuss with the Governor of the concerned state, and the President will also discuss it with the Chief Justice of the High Court of the concerned state while appointing other judges. One more extra man consultation is needed. Okay. Now, the Supreme Court ruled that the Chief Justice of India should consult two senior-most judges of the Supreme Court before making any recommendations to the President in this regard. So what happened is, I have told you the Chief Justice of the High Court is appointed, the President consults with the Chief Justice of Supreme Court, and the Chief Justice will consult with the senior-most judges of the Supreme Court before recommending it to the anything to the President. Now, additional and acting judges. In case of temporary increase in the business of High Court, the President can appoint additional judges. Such a person should not have attained the age of 62 years, and his term of office shall not exceed 2 years. When a judge of a High Court is unable to perform the duties of his office, the President may appoint a duly qualified person to act as a judge of that court. So, when a judge of a High Court is unable to perform the duty, the President may appoint a duly qualified person to act as the judge of the court. The acting judge holds office until the permanent judge has resumed his duties. When the Chief Justice is unable to perform the duties, the President may appoint one of the permanent judges to act temporarily as the Chief Justice. So this is very easy. Additional and acting judges. Now, qualification of judges. The qualification of the judges are, obviously he should be a citizen of India. One should have a judicial experience, held a judicial office for at least 10 years, or one should have been advocate of a High Court for at least 10 years. So once I believe a question came regarding the qualification of President of India, something like that. A question came, apart from being a citizen of India, mention two other qualifications of the President of India. So you can't write over there that he should be a citizen of India, because it is written that apart from being the citizen of India. Okay. Achha. Now the qualification a distinguished jurist, which has been added in the 42nd Amendment of 1976, was omitted in the 44th Amendment of 1978. So if you can remember that in the case of Union Judiciary, while selection of judges, one more option was there, that he must be in the opinion of the President a distinguished jurist. That particular qualification is not there in the case of High Court. Term of office and removal. Term of office and removal. Every judge of a High Court shall hold office until he attains the age of 62 years. Clear? He can be removed from office on the ground of proved misbehavior and incapacity. But it is possible only when both of the houses of the Parliament pass a resolution by majority of the total membership of that house, and a majority of not less than 2/3 of the members present and voting. They should then present an address to the President for such removal. Thus, the mode of removal of judges of the High Court is exactly the same of the judge of the Supreme Court, which we have discussed in the previous chapter. It is a difficult procedure and is meant to ensure the independence of the High Court. This is one way of removal. But a judge may resign from his office for whatever reason. So a judge, if he wants to resign or if she wants to resign, he or she may, by writing to the President, resign his office. Okay. Now, oath of office. A judge of a High Court, before he enters upon office, shall take an oath before the governor of the state or some person appointed in that behalf by him. The oath requires him, number one, to bear true faith and allegiance to the Constitution of India. That means he should be faithful and work for the Constitution of India. Number 2, to perform the duties of his office without fear or favor, affection or ill will. And number 3, to uphold the Constitution and the laws. So this is the oath of office of the judge of a high court. Now, salary and allowances. Salary and allowances of the judge. The Chief Justice and other judges are paid such salaries as may be determined by the Parliament. Salaries and allowances are determined by the Parliament. Their salaries and allowances are charged on the consolidated fund of the state. Consequently, the salaries and allowances are not put to vote in the state legislature. They cannot be verified by the Parliament. Very interesting. They cannot verify. You cannot scrutinize the salary. To the disadvantage of judge after his appointment. All these provisions are meant to ensure independence and impartiality of the judges. Now, transfer of judges. The President may, after consultation with the Chief Justice of India, transfer a judge from one High Court to another High Court. Chief Justice of India's recommendation in this respect must be made in consultation with the senior most judges of the Supreme Court of India. Suppose, lot of time, judges is, a judge can be transferred from one High Court to another High Court. So the President may, after consultation with the Chief Justice of India, transfer a judge from one particular High Court of a state to another High Court. Chief Justice of India's recommendation in this respect must be made, obviously, and the Chief Justice will discuss the matter with the 2 or 4 senior most judges of the Supreme Court of India. So this is basically composition and the organization of the High Court. So I'm not extending the class, but I'm just telling you, in the next class, we'll start off with the jurisdiction of High Court. See, jurisdiction of the High Court and jurisdiction of the Supreme Court is more or less the same. As far as original jurisdiction, there is also original jurisdiction, there is also appellate jurisdiction. So you should know original jurisdictions are those cases which the High Court has the authority to hear and decide in the first instance. It does not come to the lower courts. This is the basic thing you should remember. And during appellate means jurisdiction High Court is both civil and criminal. In civil cases, the High Court will hear the appeals against the decisions of the district court. And in criminal cases, the appellate jurisdiction consists of appeal against the judgment of the session court or the additional sessions court, or against the judgment of assistant sessions court or chief metropolitan magistrate or the judicial magistrate. It is a little detailed study, nothing much to get afraid. And there is also a revisory jurisdiction, where the High Court may call the record of any case which has been decided by the subordinate court, and if it feels that the subordinate court has exercised jurisdiction which was not vested in it, it has acted with gross irregularity, it may make such order in the case as it deems fit. So basically, jurisdiction of the High Court, there is original jurisdiction, which I have told you, main cases which comes in the first instance. There is appellate jurisdiction which comes through appeal from the lower courts, and revisory jurisdiction where the High Court may call for the record in the cases decided by the subordinate court, and if it is wrong, if it is some gross mistake, it can change it, or it may change it, the order, or make such orders in case as it deems fit. So this is basically the jurisdiction of the High Court. But then we'll come up with the enforcement of fundamental courts, this and that. So in today's class, I hope you have understood today's class. And in the next class, we'll start off with the jurisdiction of the High Court. So one request again, please solve the questions and answers given at the end of each chapters, so that you will be able to reckon them or revise them before your exams. So thank you for today's class.